Hi class, this is our last unit of the semester. You're almost done, you're almost there. This unit, we're going over the music industry, the business of music, Tin Pan Alley, how it got started, copyright. There's a lot of stuff that goes in this, as well as some different careers that you can be in within music. So we're going to be looking at the business of music and understand how songs are produced and some of the different qualifications you need to be in the industry. So Tin Pan Alley is where we've got to start. It was called Tin Pan Alley because there was so many people on this strip of block in New York City playing music, trying to get it produced and published, trying to make it big, that it sounded like people like banging on tin pots and pans. And so in these early days of music, we're talking like early 1900s, 1920s, composers were not very well paid. A lot of times they would be given a flat rate for the rights to their music. So one person or group would pay you for the rights to your music. And so you would no longer have rights to it after that point. They would have all the rights. And they were the ones who could make money off of it. You just got like a flat fee. And this eventually changed where we got royalties, meaning you sold them the royalties and you would make money every time a piece of music was used, not just that one time. Great Depression really contributed to the downfall of Tin Pan Alley because Great Depression, people were more focused on feeding themselves and housing themselves. Music was seen as a luxury at the time, and so there wasn't as much call for new music to be written. Instruments were a luxury. Written music was a luxury, and money wasn't being spent on this. It was more important to be spent elsewhere at the time. Some important songs that came from this time period, George Cohan, Give My Regards to Broadway, Your Grand Old Flag, God Bless America, White Christmas, Stardust, Georgia on My Mind, Rhapsody in Blue. A lot of these pieces we still play today, either like Your Grand Old Flag, some of us probably think of this as being a folk song, or they're still used in movies and different kinds of productions like that. So this time period has had a lasting impact on our culture in the United States. So I want you to tell me, what was the name given to the hub of the music printing industry in the late 1800s, named for the constant sound of new compositions being hammered out on many pianos all at the same time? Was it vaudeville, Broadway, or Tin Pan Alley? So now let's talk about how music is ranked. How do we even determine what's good and what's not? Billboard magazine is the magazine and group that ranks music, and they typically base it on sales, number of times played on the radio, and when it was still, widely a thing, number of times played on a jukebox. And in 1955, they created the Top 100 list, and this was the top 100 songs that were being played at the time. In 57, they stopped including jukebox plays because it wasn't really that reliable. And 1958 is when they changed it to the Hot 100 list, not just the top, but these are the hot songs to be listening to right now. And it was ranking singles based on radio plays and sales, so meaning sales of records. And this was the standard used to judge the song. So the more times it's being played, the more time the record is being purchased, the better the song must be, or really the more popular the song is. We also get the Nielsen Media Research Company, and this also includes TV ratings, and they have an invention called the Arbitron, and it measures the size and makeup of radio audiences. So they can determine how many radios are tuned in to that song. So how many cars, how many physical radios are tuned into that song. Of course, there might be 4 or 5 people in your car listening to the same song. They don't know that. They just know the number of radios. They can use it as a good guesstimate. Before, it was just how many times is it played on the radio. Now it's how many people are actually listening to it while it's being played on the radio. And they also started to use the Nielsen SoundScan to track sales in different formats in the 90s. So tell me, which magazine ranks music each week? Is it TV Guide, Entertainment Weekly, or Billboard? So now that we've determined what's good, or at least what's popular, how do we award these achievements? We get the Grammy Awards, which was established in 1959, and this is recognized as excellence within the recording industry. The Academy Awards, this is like the Grammys, and this is typically for movies, TV, that kind of thing, but it does have some awards for music in movies, thinking like movie soundtracks, that kind of thing. We also get the Billboard Music Awards, established in the 80s, recognizing those top artists of the year. We get the AMAs, came from the 70s, and this is pop music, and these awards are determined by fans. And the CMAs was established in the 60s, and only if you're a member of the association are you allowed to vote. So it's not measured using any of those scans and plays. It's just if you're part of the group, you're allowed to vote. And that's the only way that you can be awarded. So the business of music, this industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And a lot of times they have a method for producing music, much like Berry Gordy Jr. did. We're talking about Motown, that assembly line method where each person has a specific job. That method has worked well for a lot of companies for a really long time. You have one person who is identifying artists. They're going out into the world, listening to people, trying to see who they can potentially make money off of. And then those people are put in under contract. And then we have a team of songwriters, arrangers, producers, sound engineers, costume designers, set designers, social media managers. All these people come together to make a product, which is the music and the image. It's all kind of wrapped up together. And then we get distribution. This is taking it to radio stations, making sure it's on iTunes and Spotify, making sure that there's physical CDs to sell, that kind of thing. Then we've got promotion, advertising. Nowadays, this looks a lot more like social media, but putting it in advertisements on TV so that you hear it a lot, making sure it gets a lot of radio plays, making sure that it pops up on your social media feed. We also get marketing and promotion and sales and artist development. If you're touring, you're selling CDs, and CDs are where a lot of the money is. So the more you tour, the more you see your fans, the more you sell CDs and merchandise, the more money you make. So which element of publishing protects the rights of composers, arrangers, and performers? So we were talking about at the beginning of this that how people are getting paid. So which of these are protecting your rights? Patents, copyrights, or computers? So now, who is making the music? There are 5 main companies that are responsible for the majority of music recorded and sold. There's a lot of smaller companies, and a lot of those smaller companies are underneath these companies, so they're a part of the same family. They're just not the big umbrella names, so a lot of times they're included in those. But we get Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment, the EMI Group, Warner Brothers Music, and BMG Entertainment Company. So each of these companies is, like I said, comprised of lots of smaller companies and that come together to create one giant corporation. So think of it almost like franchising. A lot of Starbucks, I don't know why I'm choosing Starbucks. A lot of Starbucks are under franchise. So there's an individual local owner, but they bought it from the main company, but they follow what the main company does. It's almost like franchising. So music and TV, also really important as well. 1948, we get the Ed Sullivan Show. Ed Sullivan, this was a live show, and a lot of times he would introduce live musical acts on the show. Really embraced rock and roll. American Bandstand, 1952 to 1989, and this is hosted by Dick Clark, and artists a lot of time would lip sync, and they were very worried that somebody would do or say something that wasn't approved. Oops. Especially because rock and roll in this time period was very it was a little risque, and people were a little nervous about it. So they wanted to make sure that you didn't do anything that wasn't pre-approved. And they would show teenagers dancing to this music, and it was all about fashion and dancing and music. Then we get Soul Train, and this shared music by African-American performers. They lip synced as well. Once again, we don't want anybody to do anything we don't know you're doing. And this really promoted R&B, soul, Motown, hip hop, jazz, gospel styles. In early 80s, we get MTV. This is the first all music television network. And it later added youth-oriented programming, but it was originally all music all the time. 1985, we get VH1. This is similar to MTV, but it was created to appeal to the 18 to 35-year-old audience. And it still typically appeals to that general age range. MTV often appeals to that age range too, but also to an older, more nostalgic generation. We also get BET, the Black Entertainment Network. 1980 is when it started as a once-a-week program for 2 hours at a time, and it didn't become a 24/7 network until 1983. So let's look at some different careers in music. There's kind of three main categories: business and production. So you are in charge of creating music or helping make money. Education, so teaching about music, or therapy and medical uses. So true or false? Anyone who pursues or plans to pursue a career in the field of music must be proficient on a musical instrument. So let's look at this category right here. If you're using it for therapy, you're probably playing music for somebody. You probably need to be able to play a music instrument or read music, be able to sing something. Education, same thing. If you're teaching it, you probably should be able to do it. Business and production. If you're think about this, if you're an entertainment lawyer, you're a manager, you are part of sales, you are part of distribution, social media, do you think you have to be able to play an instrument? So tell me, once again, true or false? Anyone who plans to pursue a career in the field of music must be proficient on a musical instrument. True or false? That is the end of our last video of the semester. Remember, I hope you're watching this before your quizzes. If not, you can retake them. This is it. Go take that last quiz and then you are done. Enjoy your summer. If this is the last thing you're doing in my class, have a fabulous day. And remember, you can always reach out to me. I'm here for you. Bye, guys.